welcome all of you to today's class. Previously, we have looked at what generations of computers are. We look at the various stages of development in technology, which we are calling the generations of computers. We have also looked at the period within which this technology was invented and the technology that was being used during that stage of development in technology. So today we are on the second generations of computers. Can you repeat after me? Second generations of computers. Beautiful. So within the period of what? 1950s to 1960s, the second generations of computers were introduced. And this was due to the introduction of the technology which we are calling transistors. Mention after me, transistors. That is beautiful. So the technology transistors give birth to the second generations of computers within the period of 1950s to 1960s. Let's have a look at how transistors looks like. Yes, this is how the transistor looks like. So you see the picture. This is a one transistor, and over here in our second picture you could see the transistor being mounted on the motherboard of the computer. Yes, so based on this technology, the transistor being used during the period of 1950s to 1960s give birth to the second generations of computers that we are talking about today. Beautiful. So we are going to look at the characteristics of all transistors or the second generations of computers. But before then, let's look at the meaning of what transistor is, or what transistor simply means. It is made up of semiconductor material like silicon. And second generations of computers came about as a result of the introduction of major processing device, which we are calling the transistor. I hope I'm clear. Wow. So let's now move on to the various characteristics and the second generations of computers. So the first one we would like to talk about is the transistor technology, the technology that was being used during this period. And then the second is they were smaller as compared to the first generations of computers. They were also more reliable and portable, meaning the size of the computers in the second generations are smaller in size compared to that of the first generation, and they generate less amount of heat. They generate less amount of heat. And then the second generations of computers still require air conditioning because they also produce heat, just that the heat amount is lesser compared to the first generation, and the frequency of maintenance was less compared to the first generation. So as we go forward looking at these generations of computers, as we develop in technology to the next generation, you will see that the new development are always giving birth to better and advanced technology than the previous. Thank you very much for paying attention. See you next in our next lesson, where we dive into the third generations of computers. So thank you for paying attention. Bye bye.